All right. We'll call to order the Public Safety Meeting for Thursday, July 11th, 2024. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome. We'll start off with the agenda additions or changes.
The only change that we made was to add under central dispatch, the SEMCO license agreement that is in red on the agenda.
Okay. We'll add that, the Semco license agreement under central dispatch update. All right. All those in favor for adding that? Should we move it?
Oh, yeah,
And
there we go.
that'll work. All right. Moved, supported. All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Agenda approved. Approval of June 6, 2024 minutes. Moved by Commissioner Drosha. Support by Commissioner Hanson. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Limited public comment. Any limited public comment? Looks like none. We'll move on to Sheriff's Office update.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Highlights for June. On June 2nd, Delta deputies responded to an unarmed robbery in the 400 block of Dornet. A female called and stated that a known male had choked her and stole her money. Deputies arrived on the scene and located the male suspect hiding in a different apartment. All the money was located and the male was lodged on several charges. Same date, Delta deputies responded to a drive-by shooting at 2800 block of Skyway. Witnesses said they saw a motorcycle drive around the cul-de-sac, stop in the street, and then unloaded a handgun in the house. No one was injured. Spent cartridge cases recovered along with a bullet that went through the wall. We have no suspects at this time, and it's still under investigation. On June 6th, deputies assisted ATF, that's Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, on a search warrant in the area of Jolly and Waverly. This stemmed from a stolen gun we located on a call about a week or so ago. 18 firearms and roughly 2.5 ounces of meth were seized from the residence. That was a good one. June 7th, deputies responded to Crandall Lake Park for a kayak launch dock fire. We located a lazy boy chair in the dock, which was burned up along with the dock. It appears the fire was started intentionally. At this time, it is still under investigation. June 10th, deputies responded to a report of stolen cars at the GM plant. 4 or 5 subjects were all covered up wearing masks and gloves. They all arrived in a black Dodge Ram 2500. They smashed out the window of a Camaro and drove off with the car. Shortly after taking the report, the same suspects came back and stole the Dodge Charger Scatback. This seems to happen quite a bit lately, so we're trying to get ahead of it. June 14th, search warrant of a house for follow-up to a break-in and entering report. On June 3rd, 2024, deputies took a report of a break-in and entering at a business on East St. Joe Highway. Through our investigation, we were able to locate a suspect. We conducted a search warrant at the house and located the property taken from the business. The suspect confessed to the break-in and entering. June 19th, we had a fatal crash around 4:20 p.m. My deputies responded to an injury crash at the intersection of Bellevue Highway and Cochran. A pickup truck traveling westbound on Bellevue Highway with a male and female occupant was struck by a pickup truck traveling northbound on Cochran Road. One of the drivers was pronounced deceased at the scene, while the passenger, a 52-year-old female, sustained serious but non-threatening injuries. June 24th, deputies responded to a report of shots fired in the area of Williams and Hart Roads. Dispatch received multiple calls on this and a good vehicle descriptions. Deputies responded to Waverly Road and Jolly, and a deputy located a car matching the description of the Quality Dairy Store. MSP responded to back us up, and we were able to get the car stopped before it left the parking lot. A gun and spent cartridges casings were located in the car. The driver admitted that his backseat passenger fired the gun out of the car and up in the air while driving on Williams Road. More and more of these traffic stops are becoming more dangerous for police officers. As you're aware, an Oakland County deputy was killed here a few weeks ago, as well as a Hillsdale County deputy was shot and killed from a traffic stop. And just yesterday, a Texas deputy was also killed on the line of duty. Deputies respond to assist Lansing Police Department at Kensington Park near Jolly and Williams. LPD was surveilling a suspect who was wanted for multiple shootings. As he was leaving the park, they attempted to stop him, and he rammed several of their cars, and all the occupants of the suspect vehicle fled. Several people were arrested, and several guns were located in the car. I think that's an everyday occurrence in Lansing. Deputies respond to an armed robbery at the Target store in Delta. A female pulled a knife on a Target store security when they attempted to stop her for stealing a shirt. The female fled on foot. Deputies were able to locate her and arrest her without incident. It's another thing that's quite a bit up in Delta at the stores. Retail fraud. June 26th, personal injury vehicle crash south I-69 near Olivet. This was initially called in to dispatch as a traffic violation. The caller reported that the vehicle was all over the road, and then it rolled just south of Olivet. It appears the driver was impaired by alcohol, controlled substance, or both, and this crash is still under investigation. On the same date, a personal injury vehicle crash north I-69 near Olivet. This call came out a few hours later and happened in the same area as the first one, except it was a northbound I-69. A deputy was out of service, and on her way home when she came across this deputy helped to do CPR on the driver, who was ejected from the vehicle when it crashed. Michigan State Police units responded and took the report on this crash. The driver was transported to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. June 27th, a domestic assault at 9500 block of Benton Road. A male assaulted his mother, who lives next door. He is a very large man who is using drugs again and has a bipolar mental condition. When we went to make contact with him, he refused to come out. Deputies made visual and audible contact with him through a window where he sat at a table the whole time in good view. We informed him he was under arrest for the assault. After advising him of this, he began saying he was going to have us shoot him and wanted to do a suicide by cop. Deputy Vidowski spoke with him for about 20 minutes and was able to get him to come out peacefully. Nice job by negotiating to get this individual out. He was arrested and lodged in our jail for domestic assault and a warrant. Same date, a person requiring treatment court order. 4000 block of Full Street, deputies received a court order to pick up a person at this address and transport him to treatment. The male was a large man who was known to be aggressive. Several deputies went and tried to talk to him. The male then fought with the deputies on the scene. The deputies were able to get him secured, and he was transported to the hospital for treatment. One deputy suffered minor injuries in this incident and was treated at a local hospital. These court orders can be dangerous at times. Usually, sometimes it ends up with you have to fight with them. A lot of times it does cause injuries for the police officers. June 30th, suicidal person on I-496 near Waverly. A female called 911 dispatch and reported her boyfriend was suicidal and was attempting to jump into traffic. When deputies arrived in the area, they saw the male on the road, and a semi-truck had to maneuver to avoid him. When deputies parked, he ran south into a tree line. More deputies arrived, and we could see him on the edge of the fence of the trucking company property on the south side of I-496 near the exit ramp. Male had his right hand in his pants as if he was holding a gun. He started walking straight toward deputies saying, "Shoot me, shoot me." A deputy was able to position themselves in a way that male could not see them. And when he got close, the deputies deployed a taser and took the male into custody. The male was transported to the hospital for treatment. The Eaton County Parks Department was sent a screenshot of a Snapchat post which said there was going to be a huge party at Crandall Lake at 10 o'clock p.m. We responded to the park at 9:45 p.m. and began making traffic stops around the park. We believe the word got out pretty quick that this was not going to be the place to be, and we did not have any issues there. I think we're going to have more issues at these parks if they're not gated. I think we might want to consider that for parks in the future, of having them gated so we don't have to deal with such incidents late at night. That's all I have.
Wow, what a report. Crazy times. It doesn't get much better. Thanks to your deputies, officers for saving lives, from doing CPR to talking people off bridges to you name it. So that's why, to me, public safety is one of the most important things. I mean, it's up here, way up here above a lot of other things if you want to have a peaceful life here in Eaton County. But thank you very much.
I can't thank my deputies enough. They do a great job. I got a great team working for us here in the county.
Commissioner Mudry?
Thank you, Sheriff. I've seen a rash of vehicles with no license plates on. And my investigation tells me that some of these may be sovereign citizens. They don't need license plates on their vehicles. And, you know, the question is, well, is there a paper license? No. Is there one laying down on the back window? No. They're just unlicensed, I guess. Just 2 weeks ago, I followed a black sedan BMW down Saginaw, and they had duct tape covering up the letters and numbers on the license plate. And he was zigzagging his way at a high rate of speed down west on Saginaw, okay? I guess what I'm asking is, what should I have done? Should I have done anything? Or, because I couldn't keep up with them.
Well, I know dispatch gets a lot of calls from citizens on erratic driving or vehicles with no plates. If a deputy's in the area, they go look for them. If not, I mean, but they do report it. Dispatch does a great job on getting that information out. So I would, if you come across that, I would probably call dispatch. I mean, they're busy, but they'd be more than happy to take the call. Right, Kelly?
Okay, I just needed a little direction.
All right, you got it.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Sheriff Rake? Oh, sorry, Commissioner Holmes.
I was wondering when you go to a situation you believe there's, like you say, negotiate that one person out, do you get any help from outside of the sheriff department, like mental health people or anything, or they're not quick enough to get there to give you an assistance?
These things happen so quick sometimes, you don't have time to make a call or even for them to respond.
Yeah.
And we have all kinds of delays when we deal with a state office where you have to have them come out to a certain instance. That's for Child Protective Services.
Right.
It takes them time to get out there, so it is difficult. But there is departments in the state that have mental health.
I guess that mostly comes after the fact when you have them to the hospital for treatment and it's,
Well, that's the hospital. Once we take them to the hospital takes care of that.
yeah, okay. Good enough, thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, Sheriff Rake. Captain Coleman?
Yes, sir, thank you. Just want to speak a little bit about the resolution to amend the Sheriff's Department fee schedule. It's being amended or being requested to be amended that accident reports go from $7 to $10 and that there's an actual fee for police reports of $10. The previous schedule that we have, the accident and/or incident report was $7, and there's actually no fee at all for police reports. So this resolution is being presented just to try to align us with other agencies in the area and in the state of Michigan, as they charge anywhere from $10 to $20 or more. We're just trying to get more in line and actually have police report fees in there as a fee schedule. I don't know if there's any questions or anything on it, but I'm happy to try to answer them.
Questions for Captain Coleman? Commissioner Drosha?
Yeah, thank you for this report. How do you bill this out?
Well, the people can pay right at the sheriff's office at the counter if they were to come in to request a report. But we also use different systems like LexisNexis that handle our UD10s or crash reports. And a fee is charged then by them, and a portion of that is then kind of recouped by the sheriff's office.
Okay, so if you take somebody in custody and fingerprint, this is what is charged to them?
No, so this is if someone is just to talk about the reports. If they were to come in to request a report, that's what the fee would be. If someone needs to come in to, let's say, have fingerprints done for concealed pistol license, then yes, they'd be charged fees to do that service.
Okay, I got it.
That type
We're
of
just
thing.
talking about what's in red. The other fees already exist.
Oh, okay, all right. I didn't catch that. Thank you. I was looking at some of these numbers and I was thinking, I wouldn't mind if you rounded these up to the next, like 43.25, 68.25, just go up to the
Right.
dollar.
Right.
I don't think anybody's gonna complain. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as far as the accident reports and the police reports, how many of those do you guys do in a year? How many of those are
year?
requested? Yeah. Or just roughly?
Roughly, if I had to say for accident reports, generating copies, because it's insurance companies that are asking for the copies. It could be attorneys and just the general public in the thousands.
Okay.
I wouldn't, it wouldn't surprise me if it's 1,000 or more.
One of the
Especially for
numbers
crash
that,
reports.
yeah, that the FOIA coordinator gave out was 1,200 for police reports that we're not receiving any payment for. And there's redaction that is done on some of those reports.
That was my next question, is how much does it, like, if we were to generate a police report that somebody requested, how much in terms of, does that cost? Now, it's kind of hard to estimate in terms of, staff hours and all that kind of stuff, but what's the cost to us, the county?
So you're looking at how much does it cost to have the records management system, the database, if you will, that we're paying for. But then in addition to the time spent that, you get the phone call, let's start with a phone call or the person coming up to the window, that we are then going back to look for it. We do find it. There's certain information in there that has to be redacted, that's protected. Could be involving a minor, or it could just be personal information that people don't need, especially if they're not associated with that report. So then there's, FOIA redactions as well as other redactions that we just make, so they're not given sensitive information. So depending on the report, maybe you make 2 redactions on one, but the other, it could be heavily redacted, where you are looking at that, spending 30 minutes to an hour redacting it, and then maybe checking with me or someone else, hey, did I catch everything here? Just so we're making sure that we're respecting people's information and privacy and not giving information out. So
No, that makes sense.
it could vary, but yeah, definitely time consuming, sure.
And then I just one last question. I didn't see a comparison in here with other, you mentioned other counties. What is like Ingham, Clinton, what does their fee schedule look like for that, for these type of reports?
I believe it was $10 for Ingham County or City of Lansing was what our FOIA coordinator had cited.
And then there's some in the Tri-County area that are $15 to $19. Us coming to 10 is just kind of putting us somewhere near, I don't want to say acceptable, but just more in the range. The $7 that we had, that was years ago. I couldn't even tell you how long we've been charging $7 for, but just like everything else, the systems that we're using are costing more, our employees are making more. It's just time to kind of move it up a little bit to get more comparable to what others are charging.
Okay, thank you.
Any other
Absolutely.
questions? I would move it.
Or
Support Commissioner Drosha. All right, if no other questions, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, good seeing you.
Yeah, continue, thank you. All right, moving on next, we have Central Dispatch update. Kelly.
Good afternoon. We are still in the basement and remodeling dispatch. We are making progress, though. We have paint on the walls, and our lovely teal doors and windows in dispatch are now a beautiful gray. Took us out of the 90s. It's wonderful. So that is coming along, and again, it is a huge effort by physical plant and technology services. Technology services is running all new wires under the floor so that if we have any future technology upgrades, that we are set for the future of not having to replace those or add wires in the future, in the near future, or as Eric says, we're good till we retire. Also, communication unit support. So this has been increasingly adding, more agencies are asking for our help with this. So our communications unit was deployed to the Gizzard Fest, the Diamond Dale Car Show, and Yankee Doodle Days, and then special operations that occurred. So what that looks like is for like the Gizzard Fest and the Grand Ledge Yankee Doodle Days, we cover the communications for the parade. So that is usually monitored in dispatch, and we have someone dedicated to that talk group to listen to it. And if something happens during that event, we don't want them to switch off that talk group. We want them to stay there, and then we will get backup going and direct them to their event talk group. As far as the Diamond-Dale Car Show, that was a very extensive planned event that Windsor Township had us included in, and we actually deployed our communications trailer to that event, and it was manned by 2 of our tactical dispatch team members. And on a side note, it's not in my report, but we did also deploy, because it's in July, the communications unit for Delta Fireworks. That is a pretty large event, and we have numerous tactical dispatch team members that help with that. And then also Eaton Rapids fireworks are getting pretty big too. So we deploy the communications unit for that event. We did have a issue with the communications unit trailer. It started arcing and sparking. No one was injured. The fire department was right there, but that got sent to Mid-Michigan to have a look at, see what's going on with that. So as of right now, our physical communications trailer is out of service till we get that all sorted out. And then incident radio communications plan. So that is something that is done by a communications unit leader, which is myself, and we come up with communication plans in collaboration with the local local entities. So I created one for Delta Fireworks last month, the City of Eaton Rapids, and then also we're planning for the Charlotte High School full-scale ABI exercise, which is August 1st. There is currently an opening hiring process for 1 telecommunicator vacancy, and we are getting applicants. We, I think, have like 30 as of today, and a handful of them do have previous dispatch experience, which is great. And then we also have been hosting a lot of sit-alongs from responders, and this is great. So we always encourage this from the agencies that we serve because they don't really know what happens in dispatch. They always hear us talking on the other end of the radio, but they don't normally understand all the things that we're doing. So if it's non-emergency traffic and we might have to tell you to stand by a moment, they can kind of understand because we are dispatching and taking phone calls from numerous people. Eaton County Emergency Management, their interns sat along with us. Eaton County Sheriff's Department Cadet Program, they've been coming and doing sit-alongs, which is great. It shows them the other end of the radio, and it helps build those relationships and kind of have a common understanding of the big picture. And then Eaton Rapids Police Department. So all these departments, when they get new employees, they definitely focus on trying to get them into dispatch at least for 4 hours to kind of see what we do. Supervisor Thacker participated in the Mid-Michigan Police Academy felony stop video. So he is going to be the voice of the new video, which will be used for teaching at the Police Academy at LCC. And lots of community events. We were in the Gizzard Fest Parade, Yankee Doodle Day Parade, and we had our first child passenger safety technician event where they had it at the Charlotte Fire Department on the west side, and it was an opportunity to schedule a car seat safety check with our technicians or just stop by and ask some questions and have that conversation. So it had a good turnout and lots of questions answered and a few car seat inspections. That is all I have for my report, if there's any questions.
Any questions for Kelly? Thank you, Kelly. Very detailed. Thank you. Just on average, how many people showed up for that car seat inspection? Just
They had
curious.
walk-ups. They did one full inspection of car seats, but it was good to kind of see, because obviously we've never done events before, but people were stopping and asking questions and wanting to know how to schedule in the future. So
Yeah, good.
we're going to try to expand it to different areas at different fire departments throughout the county, so.
Good, good, because that information isn't just easily accessible, so it's good to have that out there. Once people catch wind of it, it'll, I'm sure, pick up.
Oh, yes, I'm getting lots of inquiries about it, so.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Looks like we have an action item also.
Yes. All right, so sorry I didn't get this to you sooner. I was working with other 911 directors to make sure that our language was consistent throughout the state with this. So our, kind of put this in easy understanding, so the Michigan's public safety communication system, so our radio system. We own the local system, and other entities, like this is SEMCO is a private entity. They are buying into MPSCS. So it's not, we're not paying for their radio system, but what we get out of this is that they add more talk groups, so it makes it a more robust system. And then we also had to figure out, so it's not costing us anything, it's actually making our system more robust. But we also had to figure out the maintenance side of it. So we do occur yearly maintenance cost, and if we were to pay for that for a private entity, that would be a fee diversion through the FCC because it is a surcharge that comes off the cell phones. So SEMCO is actually located in Calhoun County, but they do have drivers that come to Eaton County. And so what this is basically saying is that they will maintain the additional equipment that was added to our radio system. So if their channel was to break, they would be responsible for that replacement, but then also a yearly fee of $105 per user that comes into our county. And we do have a way through the Michigan Public Safety Communication System to see how many of their radios use the system throughout the year. So that would be evaluated every year. And the 105 was discussed with the MPSCS and 911 directors to ensure that that maintenance fee would be captured properly.
So if I understood you correctly, that's $105 for anyone that jumps on that
Per user, yep,
per user,
Yep.
per year.
per year, yes. And then, so this is something that you will probably see in the future because so adding a private entity was kind of a new thing, and we had to figure out the ins and outs. And Consumers Energy is already on our system, so I have to now present this MOU to them too. So, and again, we can track how many of their radios and users utilize the system annually, and then we can bill them.
Other questions for Kelly? Commissioner Holmes?
Yeah, SEMCO, I understand, Southeast Michigan Gas Company, correct?
Yes.
So it's a utility? Okay. I'm just making sure. Thank
Yep.
you.
Other questions? Have a motion? Move it, Commissioner Holmes, support Commissioner Drosha. Other questions? All those in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, moving on next, we have the emergency management update.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just a couple of project updates that were highlighted in your packet there. Completed a couple of projects last month. First thing, we sent a large contingent of first responders to the North American Active Assailant Conference in Troy. Using Homeland Security Grant Program funds, we were able to pay for their pre-conference and conference registration costs, a little over $6,100, which is really good. I'm always big on trying to get people some training, and that's a nice project that we're typically able to do annually with the allocated funds that we have. Other project, we worked directly with the clerk's office as well as technology services to complete an election security project. This election security project was actually a requirement under the grant that we completed at the regional level, but we kind of put in a bid at the regional level, if you will, to use these funds locally. So kind of was able to do a continuity of operations for polling locations project, working with the clerk's office and technology services to get things like V drives, which helps you store data and transfer data for election tabulators if you need. UPS drives, which are, it's something portable, uninterruptible power supply. And then we also use a generator too, which can be a smaller generator that we bought over at Albans through technology services suggestion to help kind of do some power supply on some smaller different infrastructure and things that we could do. So that was a great project that the clerk's office was very happy about, and something that they can deploy to different polling locations across the county. For an internship program update, Mitchell's been doing a great job. He's not here today, he's on vacation, but we look forward to kind of having him through the start of the MSU academic year, which is about late August, but he continues to complete various tasks and participate in different opportunities that we offer. Kelly kind of alluded to that he sat along with dispatch earlier. He also did a ride along with the sheriff's office for the second half of that day. I think he's really enjoying it so far. He's going to give our report next month to try and give him some public speaking experience as a part of his kind of task book. Did a couple community readiness exercises, one for the city of Grand Ledge, one for the city of Eaton Rapids, in preparation for some of their summer events that they have. These are really simple tabletop exercises. We don't dive down into specific plans or policies or procedures or anything. We just try and get a gauge of different local leaders, both public safety, elected, appointed, so on and so forth. What hazards could reasonably affect them. Obviously, we have our hazard identification and risk assessment. We hope that they source that, as well as maybe some different kind of initiatives that they take in ways that maybe we can enhance their planning efforts. Some are really simple, like, hey, maybe you could participate in decision support services from the Weather Service and get a meteorologist assigned to your event. And you can get morning weather briefings, you can get specific warnings from a meteorologist if something is heading in your direction of your event, versus maybe something more in depth, actually conducting a planning process and having a written kind of event action plan for work assignments and a communications plan, a medical plan, so on and so forth. Things that maybe we want to look at maybe next year or 2 years down the road that they can implement. So both really good exercises. We give them a quick look report, which is basically just those suggestions that they could complete in the immediacy versus also maybe in the long term. A couple other things that I know is on your packet for this meeting was just a 6-month progress report for our multi-year strategic plan, which the Public Safety Committee reviewed and approved back in January. We just wanted to give you an update in terms of where we're at with our current objectives and our goals, our objectives, and then some milestones that we've completed already over the course of 6 months. The life of this plan is 2 years, so we have till the end of 2025 before we start taking a look at maybe what the next 2 to 3 years look like in terms of strategy for us. Again, we're big believers in kind of that short-term sprint, but we still want to try and look towards the future using that multi-year aspect like a strategic plan typically does. So there's just some highlights there in terms of milestones. And then the last thing is a memorandum of understanding with the American Red Cross. This is our 5-year update. We did this 5 years ago, and our current MOU expired, so we wanted to enter into an updated MOU with the Red Cross. Basically just making sure we understand expectations of them, expectations of us, as well as an understanding that the Red Cross is really our mass care lead in the county here if we ever have any sort of emergency or disaster that requires their services. That they have the capacity to open up shelters and do things like disaster mental health and so on and so forth, and provide some immediate funding support to victims of a disaster. So that's basically what that MOU says, just a kind of show of strength, if you will, that we're going to continue to partner with them. And this MOU lasts for another 5 years, and we'll take another look at it again in 2029.
Any questions for Ryan on this resolution? All right, I'll move it. Support by Commissioner Drosha. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Excellent. That's all that I had, unless there are any questions.
All right, any other questions for Ryan? Thanks, Ryan.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, moving on next. Any miscellaneous items?
No.
Seeing none, any limited public comment? Looks like none, and looks like we'll adjourn till August 1st, 2024.